What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel for the Week 11 Waiver Wire Show. I'm your host, Dylan Clemons, and I'm here like I am every single week, giving you my top 6 waiver ads of the week. But before I jump into that, I just want to remind you to please hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Hit that bell for notifications so when you know when we add a new video to the channel or when we do a live stream. And then I would like to remind you to head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and become an all-access member for a small fee of $9.99 a month. You get access to our award-winning rankings, draft cheat sheets, access to our F6P Discord where you get custom advice for your leagues and DFS builds, and you get DFS projections and the stacking tool along with that. Plus, the best part of it all, you get access to our entire F6P staff. That's where the money's at right there, everybody. So once again, fantasy6pack.net/plans, become an all-access member. But without further ado, what do you say we jump right into my top ad on the waiver wire this week, and that is my man Antonio Gibson, who was on this list last week, and it hit. He found the end zone on a receiving touchdown, and guys, they're finally using him in the passing game like we've been begging them to do for years. With Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator, they're just chucking it all the time. And Antonio Gibson has seen 16 targets over the past 3 weeks, and he's caught 15 of 16 of them, guys. He's now finished inside the top 20 in back-to-back weeks in PPR formats. He needs to be rostered. And still under 50% of leagues is just goofy. It's about a 60-40 split between Brian Robinson and him. But Antonio Gibson has just taken over the passing game work. Plus, the Commanders got a great matchup against the Giants this week, who give up the 9th most fantasy points to the position. If you're struggling with bye weeks this week and injuries, you can plug Antonio Gibson in a PPR format and feel pretty good about it, I would say. This next guy I want to talk about is not a ton of people know about him. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know a ton about him, and that's Ty Chandler. He's backing up Alexander Madison. Unfortunately, Madison got knocked out of the game early with a concussion, and Ty Chandler finished the game with 15 carries, which was a surprise. He had 15 carries for just 45 yards, unfortunately, but he did find the end zone, finishing as running back 25 on the week in PPR formats. Chandler only saw one target, but if he's the lead back this week, I would expect that to go up. Plus, they play Denver this week, guys. Denver has been carved up on the ground all season long, and the Broncos are allowing 30 points to the running back position per game, which is the worst in the league. If Chandler is the starter and Alexander Madison is out, you can plug Chandler into your RB2 spot, and you could definitely do way worse this week. Another returning guy to this video, and that's Keaton Mitchell from last week, who he also paid off. Just like last week, he played 14 snaps last week, and we saw what he did there, and he was good. This week, he saw 13 snaps only. He was awesome again. He saw just 3 rushes for 34 yards, but broke one for a touchdown. Plus, he caught one of his 2 targets for 32 yards. This guy is just a big-time playmaker whenever he touches the ball. And to be honest with you, outside of Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers, this team really lacks playmakers. So they need to get the ball into this guy's hands and just let him go to work. And that's what he's done the past 2 weeks. Before I started recording, I got an update as well that said Keaton Mitchell's going to get used more this next week. Guys, roster this man. I said it last week, and I'm saying it again. You can plug him in now. Let's get up to 25 snaps, please. And you feel comfortable being able to plug him in. The Ravens get a matchup with their AFC North rivals, Cincinnati Bengals, who are middle of the road against running backs, but we just saw what Devin Singletary did to them last week in a Houston win. You know, it could definitely be done. Pick Mitchell up if you're looking for a dart throw, and he could make a big play happen for the Ravens and your fantasy teams this week. The next guy, Devin Singletary, and he just barely fit under the threshold this week at 49.9% of rostered. And guys, I was down on him after a subpar week the week prior. I could care less. This offensive line hasn't been doing good. Dameon Pierce was not efficient when he was in there. So why would Devin Singletary be? Well, he completely shut me up. Singletary saw a whopping 30 carries in the Texans win over the Bengals this past weekend for 150 yards, and he found the end zone, finishing as the RB3 on the week in PPR formats. If Dameon Pierce is still dealing with his injury and happens to be out once again this week, Devin Singletary is an absolute must-start in a great matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, who have given up the third most fantasy points to the running back position. Once again, if Pierce is out, this is Singletary's backfield. Played 61 snaps, everybody, last week. They trust him in this offense, and it'll be interesting to see if he takes over the backfield, as in more snaps than Dameon Pierce when he gets back into the lineup as well. Next guy I got here for you is Zach Charbonnet, and I know I've talked about him before on this. And for the third straight week, Zach Charbonnet played more snaps than Kenneth Walker. This week was by a slim margin, once again 42-39, and Walker still outperformed Charbonnet in usage, with Walker seeing 20 touches and Charbonnet just seeing 10. But Charbonnet had his best week of the season, seeing a season-high 10 touches and finished as RB26 in PPR formats. But what we love the most about what we got from Charbs this past week, and that was the utilization through the air that we saw. He caught 4 of his 5 targets, but just for 18 yards, but it's the 5 targets that we absolutely love. They get the Rams this weekend, who have allowed the 10th fewest fantasy points to running backs, so maybe leave him on your bench this week. But, guys, if he keeps getting these snaps and his volume keeps increasing, he's somebody that might be able to be used in a flex spot, RB2 spot, once we get closer to playoff time. And at the worst, he's in an absolute elite handcuff. Plus, his coach, Pete Carroll, absolutely just gushes over this guy. So he's rostered in under 40% of leagues. So get on out there if he's sitting out there and go ahead and pick him up. And everyone's probably sitting here saying, Dylan, you've given me 5 running backs. Well, here's the lone wide receiver for everybody. And that's Elijah Moore this week. Everyone, I know they're probably rolling their eyes that he made the waiver wire video. And there's a ton of wide receivers who could have made this spot, but you got to become an all-access member to view those guys. I did talk about 4 wide receivers behind the paywall in my article, so make sure you head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans and check that out if you want to read about those wide receivers. But let's get to why I like Elijah Moore. He had his best week of the season, catching 5 of his 7 targets for 44 yards and finally found the end zone. I know, yeah, everyone's saying, well, he was good because he caught a touchdown. Well, guys, that was his 6th game out of 9 in which he saw at least 7 targets. We absolutely love that number. Deshaun Watson's looking better and better, even though he is a little banged up. Let's hope he stays off the injury report. But if he's good to go, I really like Elijah Moore as a plug-and-play starter this week, especially against the Steelers, who have given up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers this season. So I don't hate the play of Elijah Moore at all. But yeah, everybody, that was my top 6 waiver ads of the week. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I talk about more people and players in my article over at fantasy6pack.net. But you have to become an all-access member to check out the names behind the paywall. So make sure you do that. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. On the way out, I really appreciate it. And then I will talk to you guys on Friday when we do our Week 11 game preview shows. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, everybody.